video recording natin para pwede nyo magamit as reference. So, yung unang video na i-share ko sa inyo kanina, those are tips and tricks para sa isang programmer na gusto niyang maayos ang program niya, no? So, it's pretty much how you would like to present your code, no? Yung indentation, merong iba sa inyo nakagawa na, no? So, mas maganda yon, mas organized. At saka yung comment, yan, sinasabi niya, kung gusto niyo i-explain yon, ilagay niyo doon sa tamang posisyon. Now, maganda rin yun sa if yung condition statement para natitrace mo, no? Kasi minsan, pwede kang gumawa ng maraming if, no? Kasi may gusto kang palabasin na iisa lang, no? Babalik lang ng babalik, may loop. So, para matrace mo yung lahat ng if mo, lalo na yung curly braces, usually yan yung nagiging error, no? Pag nasobrahan na yung curly brace mo, hindi mo na trace, may kulang ka na pala, ganon. Ayan. So, magandang magandang convention. So, that's just one of the tips, no? Sinishare ko lang sa inyo. Okay, so balik tayo dun sa ating usapan, no? So, bago tayo magbalik dun sa ating sinusundan na format nung gusto kong i-concentrate lang yung napansin ko na kulang, no? Okay. So, i-share ko na yung ating ating ANSI, no? Yung mga keywords. Ayan, maganda rin. Maganda rin yun kasi, teka lang, ilalabas ko lang yung keywords. Downloads. Description. Keywords. Okay, bumukas siya. Bakit bumukas ka dyan? Okay. Right. O, sige, pwede ka nang i-share. Right. So, I'd like to go through these keywords. You may or you may have already encountered some and when to use it. Ayan. So, para aware tayo dyan, no? Okay. Share ko lang. Entire screen. Okay. By the way, it's a Saturday. O, diba? Weekend. Weekend. Kumusta weekend natin? Kayo ba may mga lakad ng linggo? Wala.
Wala naman po.
Walang lakad.
Wala po.
Ha? Wag daw tayong masyadong magagala kasi may bagong variant na dun sa South Africa. Nakarating na ng Hong Kong. Baka lumipad dito sa atin. Ayan. So, although konti na yung natin, mamaya biglang makapasok yung virus na bago na yan. Ayan. Bakit ba yung mga virus na yan naglilitawan? COVID na yan. Okay. Akala ko tapos na eh. May umusbong na naman parang mushroom. Ayan. Okay. So class, are you seeing my screen? I'm showing the ANSI keywords in C. Kita nyo ba?
Yes po.
Yes
Okay.
po.
Gusto nyo lakihan ko pa. Pwede na? Pwede na yan ganyan? Ayan.
Okay na po, ma'am.
Ayan, okay na. Okay, so, meron ditong 32 na ginagamit sa programming ng C. Actually, hindi lang naman sa C, kahit sa ibang programming, no? Programming language. Ito yung tinanggap ng ANSI standard, okay? So, una, yung auto. It's a keyword that declares automatic variables, no? So, for example, ayan, nag-auto ka, no? So, yung int, alam nyo naman kung ano yung int. Ano nga yung int?
Integer po.
Integer.
Integer.
Okay, ito yung bar 1 na to, statement lang yan, no? Okay, statement lang siya, no? This statement suggests that bar 1 is a variable or a storage class auto and type int, no? Yun yung mga ginagawa nating variable, no? Ano nga yung sinasabi nating variable? You have, it must start with a letter. Correct, no?
Letter.
Okay, so pwede raw siyang mag-start sa underscore, depende sa gamit mo na language, no? So, but, as a rule, it should start with a letter, no? So, yung bar 1, yan yung, tayo nagsusulat niyan, no? It's a storage, okay? So, itong auto, it declares automatic variables. So, kung may i-auto ka na variable, gusto mo diretso agad, ayan, ganyan mo siya gagamitin yung auto. Ayan. Okay? So, variables declared within this function body are automatic by default. They are recreated each time function is executed. Ayan. So, tandaan po natin yan. So, kailan mo gagamitin si auto? Pag gusto mong i-declare yung variable, katulad ni bar 1 na automatic. Ayan. Okay. Bali, magkakaroon naman tayo ng chance na magagamit natin yan eh. Ayan. Okay. Next. Ito namang break and continue. Okay. The break statement terminates the innermost loop immediately when it's encountered. It also used to terminate a switch statement. Now, kailan mo ginagamit ito? Ito ginagamit mo if you would like to break a loop. Maglo-loop ka. Anong idea nyo ng loop? Doon sa mga nakapag-program na. Para mas maintindihan natin. Sino yung
umuulit po?
Paulit-ulit.
Paulit-ulit, no? But, you will have to make a declaration when to stop the loop. That's when you use break. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, puputulin niya yung loop, no? Pag umabot na siya dun sa number, katulad nito, equal to 7, nilagay niya na dito yung break, no? Nakikita niyo ba yung ano? Ito yung pinaka, natin, yung loop, no? Paikot-ikot yan. Kung hindi mo yan i-break, either magko-continue yan, or uulit lang ng uulit. Ayan. So, dun siya ginagamit. So, here we have an example, no? Yung 4 niya is equal to, dun sa 4, kung meron kang equation dyan, no? Okay, pag daw yung I equal sa 3, okay, magko-continue. If I is equal to 7, magbe-break siya, no? Gets nyo? So, if you would like to terminate your statement that goes, kasi pag hindi siya 3, ibig sabihin ko continue lang 'yon, no? Ganun 'yon, no? Pag hindi siya umabot sa 7, okay, magbe-break siya, no? Ayan. So, yun yung purpose niya. Yung printf naman, alam niyo na ang purpose niyan, 'di ba? Ano nga ang function ng printf? Output siya, no? Ia-output niya lang yung naging sitwasyon dito sa ating statement, no?
Ma'am,
Yes.
tanong ko lang para saan yung %d pag dyan sa printf?
Yung percent, yan yung output nitong equation natin, no? Nakita niyo sa taas?
Sige po, ma'am.
Naka-enclose. Sa 4, naka-enclose yung I, and then itong parenthesis na to. Now, yan yung output nitong equation na ito, no?
Sige po, ma'am. Salamat po.
Ayan. So, yung equation na yan, yung percent na yan, teka, ano nga ba yung meaning natin ng modulo? Nasa na yung natin? Modulo, that's a percent, is a character, no? Teka, ano nga yung natin? May sinend ako dating Nakita nyo ba yung diniscuss natin dati? Si programming. Basic declaration, no? Ay, hindi. Okay. Mali. Teka, sandali. Okay. Si programming. Tapos, basic. Okay. Wait lang. Andito na ata yung characters. Ampersand. Ayan. Okay. Yan yung isa, 'di ba? Yan yung inaano natin dito sa ating asan na yung image. Kasama dito. Ayan, no. It's a bitwise, no, operator. Pwede rin siyang logical. And. Yung ampersand, and, ayan, logical. Pag pareho-pareho, no? Ayan. So, ito yung isa sa mga aralin natin. I think dito kayo nalilito, no? Tama ba ako? Yung ginamit dun sa ating ano. So, yan. Teka muna, sandali. Mamaya muna yan. Kasi nasa variable pa lang tayo. Pasadahan ko lang yung variable, tapos isusunod natin yung mga operators. Kasi, even though ang ano na ito, katulad nito, nakakalito to, ano, diba? And then you have less than, tapos relational operator. And then, dito, meron ka ring, bitwise, gagamitin siya as operator. So, mamaya maintindihan nyo yung pinagkaiba niyan. Kasi, diba, yun nga yung kailangan mong malaman kung ano ba ang purpose ng operator. Is it unary? Pag unary, ibig sabihin, mag-a-arithmetic ka, no? Pag binary, so, ayan, depende sa type, no? And then, ternary operator. Pero mamaya pa yan, okay? Doon muna tayo dun sa kailangan nating yung mga variables. Okay, balikan ko lang. Okay. Nasaan na yun? Ayan. Okay, so naintindihan niyo na po ba itong break and continue? Okay na po?
Yes po.
Okay, maliwanag. And then you have, ayan, nag-output lang yon, no? Okay, so pagdating ng titigil siya. Siya yung dun sa break and continue. Okay. Next, then you have switch and case statement, no? Okay. A switch and case statement is used when a block of statement has to be executed among many blocks. Ayan. So, kung marami kang block, ang gagamitin mo ay switch and case statement. Ayan. So, una muna, syempre, lalagay mo yung switch, and then yung case, i-state mo kung ano yung nakalagay na case. Okay? 1, and then, alam nyo, ibig sabihin ng dalawang forward slash, ano yon? Comment, no? Pag nakita natin yan, comment lang yan, no? O, inebe-break niya. And then, case uli, no? And then, comment, no? Okay. So, ganun lang siya, no? Kung meron kang block ng statement that has to be executed among many blocks, anong gagamitin mo? Switch and case statement. Ayan. Okay. Okay, next is char. O, sinong nakakaalala ko ano ibig sabihin ng char? Character. Okay. So, yung character, isa rin niyang identifier, isa rin niyang keyword. And it declares a character variable, no? So, katulad nito, yung alphabet, yan yung inyong variable. So, yung char, dinedeclare niya yung alphabet, no? As a character type. Ano ibig sabihin ng character type? Para siyang text, no? Oh. Yun lang, ganun lang siya. If you would like to declare a character type, no? As a variable, ayan, yun ang tatawagin mo, si char, no? Si char. Char. Okay. Okay, next. Const. Ano rin naman yung const? Na-discuss na natin yan. Ano maalala nyo si const? Constant, no? An identifier can be declared constant by using const period. So, pag dineclare mo siya as const, ano ibig sabihin nun?
Hindi po nababago.
Correct. Throughout your program, hindi mo na pwedeng baguhin si A, yung integer na A, laging 5 ang magiging value nun. Kasi constant na yon all throughout. Okay? So, hindi ka pwedeng pagdating dun sa program, no? Sa baba, i-declare mo ulit si A, tapos bibigyan mo na ibang value. Hindi pwede yon, no? Dahil kinonstant mo na siya dito. Okay, maliwanag? Maliwanag po?
Yes po.
Okay.
Yes po.
Pag hindi nyo naintindihan, balikan nyo lang. Balikan nyo lang tong ating no? Ito yung magiging reference nyo. And then you have do while, no? Okay, ito yung example niya. So, ang do while, i-declare mo lang yung do una, tapos yung while, do as it, yun yung ipinagagawa mo, no? Okay? Underneath, itong printf, no? Bali, dun sa I, sa taas, no? Okay, yan yung ano mo, yan yung i-show niya lang yung ginawa mo dun sa int, dito sa printf, no? Itong %d, no? and then while, tapos magkakaroon siya ng while. Ano raw, is it, mag-ano ka ng, dito, may exception dito sa ibaba, I is, nga yung, less than 10. Pagka yung I mo, nagtanong ka, naglagay ka dun sa program mo, pagka yung nilagay mo ay mababa, then babalik ka dun sa I ulit, So, hanggat hindi siya umaabot dun sa 10, hindi siya babalik siya dun sa do. So, ganyan yung concept ng do while. Para rin siyang loop. Ayan. So, ilulup ka niya hanggang sa maabot mo yung 10. Babalik ka dun sa I, dun sa do, pag nag-load ka, hanggang sa umabot ka dun sa 10. Yan yung do while loop. Okay po? Gets po? Para din siyang if, else, and then, pero mas simple siya, do while. Gagawin niya yung nasa taas, Ayan. Hanggang sa umabot ka dun sa while na nakadeclare as 10. Hindi mo na kailangan lagyan ng break. Mag-e-end na siya sa 10. Yun. Okay. And then, double and float. Okay. So, anong naaalala nyo sa double at saka float? Doon sa ating last discussion.
Ginagamit po ang decimal.
Correct. It's a decimal arrangement na mahaba, mahaba na yung numbers. Yung float, it could mas mahaba na yung dot, decimal dot, I don't know how long, pero napakahaba niya, pwede niyong makita yung values niya. Teka lang, saan ba yung float? Hindi ito. Naalala nyo ba kung saan portion yun? Teka lang. Sa computation din yan eh. Okay. Dito ba yun? Int, double, volatile. Hindi. Ayan. Ay, hindi. Numeric constant to eh. Real constant. So, decimal din to. Actually, pwede to. Nakita nyo yung, nakikita nyo ba yung sinishare ko?
Yes po.
Okay. So, itong mga real constant, para rin tong float eh. Pero pag nakita nyo yung E-4 or E4, yung mga yan, nakikita nyo yung decimal, negative 4.6.94E. Ang -4, ibig sabihin, mas mahaba pa yan, Mas mahaba pa siya. Yun yung long and, asan na yung aking dinidiscuss? Okay. So, you have float and double. Now, anong mas mahaba dun sa dalawa? Ang mas mahaba is yung float. Yung double, kumbaga yung float, doble ni double, Si double long, mas mahaba siya. Ayan. So, these keywords, double and float, are used to declare floating types variable, For example, katulad nito, float number. So, ibig sabihin, ang kinocall dito sa number na to, yung inyong variable ay decimal. Here, the number is a single precision floating type variable, whereas long number is a double precision floating type variables. Ayan, nakikita nyo tong link na to. Okay, pag clinic niyo yung link na yan, bakit hindi niya ma-file process? Ano nangyari? Hindi active yung link. Okay, fine. Ano nangyari? Ay, nawala yung aking Okay, balik tayo. Ayan. Wala ba akong papapasukin? Wala naman. Late talaga. Baka hindi napapasok na yung tatlo, Okay, fine. Nagsabi ba sa'yo, Jolene?
Yung isa lang po, si
isa lang?
Noel po, nawalan daw po sila ng internet.
Gosh. Ang hirap ng ganyan, nabubuisit ako pagka walang internet. Nangyari na ba sa atin na nawala ako? Hindi, doon sa kabilang klase ko. Try nyo ata yun, diba?
Last meeting po.
Last meeting.
Meeting po, ma'am.
Oo, kaya sa inyo nga, si Jaling, naalala ko, tinext ko. Nakabwisit pag gaganyan. Okay, baka mawawalan tayo ng kuryente, kaya bilisan na natin. Ayan. Next, eto na, yung if and else. So, in C programming, if and else are used to make decision, no? So, dito sa ating example, if the value is I other than 1, okay, I is other than 1, the output will be, okay, yan. So, I is not 1, no? Okay. Okay, so, ibig sabihin lang nito, I is equal. Ito na naman yung ating mga operators. So, pag if, ano ibig sabihin nito? Yan ay, dito, no? Dito tayo sa, ayan, no? Relational operator, no? So, susunod yan, no? Mas maintindihan niyo yan pagka pinasok na natin yung, yung ating operator, no? So, tapusin muna natin to. So, ginagawa mo yung if and else pagka meron kang decision na ginagawa. A yes or no decision, no? So, nagamit na naman natin yan, no? Ito lang yung paggamit lang nitong mga values ng ating relational at saka logical operators. Yan, importante yan sa inyo. Mamaya, papasadahan natin yan dun sa operators, no? Okay. Okay. And then you have enum. Ang enum nito, hindi, joke lang. Okay, enumeration, no? Yun ang ibig sabihin niya, enumeration. Enumeration types are declared in C programming using keyword enum. For example, enum suit. Okay. So, here, enumerated values, an enumerated value suit is created tags, having created tags, no? Okay, heart, spades, club, diamonds, no? So, enumerate niya lang yan, no? Sinisimulan niya lang yung pagkakasunod-sunod, no? Yan yung purpose niya. Okay? Ganun lang kasimple. Enumerated variable suit, no? Ayan. So, yung suit niya, yung pagkakasunod-sunod ng heart, spade, clubs, diamonds. So, kung gusto mong gumamit ng item sa isang table na kung ano yung gusto mong pagkakasunod-sunod, anong gagamitin mo? Class? Hello? Andiyan pa ba kayo? Hala? Andiyan pa ba kayo, class?
Ludo ba po?
Ay, okay.
Okay.
Akala ko naman naputol na naman ako. Okay, so enum ang gagawin mo. Kung ano yung pagkakasunod-sunod. Ayan. So, enumeration lang yan. Ganun lang kasimple. Okay. Extern. Okay, extern keyword declares that the variable is a function and has external linkage outside the file is declared. So, ito pagka may kayong gagamitin kayong mga ibang storage type na gusto nyong i-link, no? Halimbawa, yung storage nyo has a link to another. Okay, so nangyayari ito pagka yung inyong code ay inilink nyo sa isa pang code. Ayun, ganon. So, bawat code kasi natin na i-enclose yan sa isang folder at pwede nyo siyang i-link. No? So, kung gusto nyo gamitin yung variable na nakalagay doon sa isang folder, ayan, gagamitin nyo yung extern. Nangyayari yan, no? Para magkaroon ng linkage yung dalawang folder, folder, naka-folder siya. Pero actually, isang program lang siya, no? Kung gusto mo siyang i-declare, no? Siguro as you go along, magagamit niya yan. Pero, hindi siya masyadong ginagamit unless meron kang gustong i-link na variable that is outside dun sa isang mahabang program na ginagawa nyo. Ayan. And then, you have for, okay? There are 3 types of loops in C programming. You have the for loop. It's written in C programming using keyword for. For example, ayan, no? For. Okay? Ang output niyan, no? Okay? Ito yung ginawa niya. I is equal to 0. And then you have your semicolon. If I is less than 9, then ano to, plus I, ayan, naka-enclose siya, print mo yung solution na magiging summary nitong ano na to, ano, which is I. Ayan, so anong output niya? Okay, so 1 to I, no? 0 to 8, no? Kasi yung less than, hindi na siya sinama kasi yun yung 9. Ayan. Okay, so yan yung output niya na 4. Sabi dito, there are 3 types of loops in C programming, no? So you have, sinabi niya lang dito yung isang for loop. So meron pang ibang for loop, no? Okay. And then you have go to. Go to is a statement, no?
Ma'am, tanong lang po.
Yes.
But parang medyo, ano po, parehas yung application ng for loop sa while loop.
Yeah, kasi pareho silang condition statement. Depende lang kung paano mo siya gagamitin. Kung ano yung intention mong paggamit, no? Okay. So, kasi nga condition siya, no? Pwede mong gamitin yung either for or while kasi pareho silang naandun sa dito tayo papasok kung paano yung approach kasi kada programmer may kanya-kanyang approach. So kung ang interpretation niya ng program ay mas magandang gamitin yung while instead of for, no? Depende yan doon sa programmer. Pero halos pareho lang yung kanilang output. Correct ka dyan, no? So, nasa inyo yan kung anong mas gusto nyo. Kung tingin nyo mas straightforward na gamitin yung do while, pwede rin naman. O kung gusto nyo gamitin yung if then else, okay din lang din. No? Or for loop, no? Depende dun sa requirement nung balak nyo gawin na program, no? So, kasi kada natin, napansin nyo, di ba, pag gagawa kayo ng program, iba-iba rin ang approach nyo. So, ayun. Pero actually, kayo pa rin na magde-decide kung anong nakikita nyo. Kasi kayo yung nakakaisip ng gagawin yung program Eto, binibigay ko lang sa inyo yung mga identifier, keywords, no? Na pwede nyo magamit. Ayan. Gets? Okay po? Okay po?
Apo.
Okay. Right. And then you have go to. The statement is used to transfer control of the program to the specified level, no? So, ito yung example natin. Go to statement is used to transfer control. So, tina-transfer niya yung control ng program to a specified level. Okay. So, here, asan yung go to? Ayun, go to error, no? So, meron ka ditong control na isinet, which is yung sa for. Remember, pag naglalagay tayo ng condition, it's a form of control, no? So, for and if, no? So, pag transfer mo yung control, gagamitin mo si go to statement. So, pagka nag-error, go to error, no? Ayan. Para siyang, hindi siya break, pero kasi ide-direct niya dun sa error, no? So, pag dinirect si go to sa error, ito yung lilitaw. Ayan. Error count cannot be 10. Kasi kailangan equal to 10. Para siyang break, pero actually hindi. Meron lang siyang pinoint, no? Transfer control of the program. Ayun yung exact approach niya doon sa sa ating keyword, no? Sa ating identifier. Ayan, ay. Sandali lang, guys, ha? Sandali. Kailangan mo, Nay. Kailangan mo ng sardina. Sandali. Dali.
Hindi ba yan?
Kaya mo na yan?
Kaya.
Okay, balik. Alright, gets nyo na yung go to. Kailan nyo gagamitin si go to? Okay? Mumove on na ako, ha? Ayan. So, pag transfer na si goto, ang ano niya, kung hindi equal, itong if natin, equal sa 10, then ano mangyayari, no? Error. Magpupunta siya doon sa goto error, no? Ayan. Error count cannot be 10. Ayun. Yun. Ganun lang siya, kasimple. Pwede nyo gamitin yan kung meron kayong gustong i-transfer, no? I-transfer yung control sa program. Okay. And then you have int. Siguro hindi ko na kailangan discuss ito, but anyway, pasadahan na rin natin dahil matagal na natin itong ginagamit, no? Int keyword is used to declare, ano po? Integer, no? Integer type variables. Ayan. So, nagamit nyo na yan. Okay. Next. So, you have here long, short, signed, unsigned, no? A long, short, signed, unsigned keywords are type of modifiers that alter the meaning of the base data to yield a new type. Okay. So, halimbawa, short integer. Ayan na yung mga range natin, no? Short int, okay, meron ka dyang small integer, kinol mo, no? And then long int, kinol mo si big integer. Signed int, ito yung output niya, no? So, pagka short int, small integer, ito yung lilitaw, no? Long int, ayan. Long integer. Ano nga yung integer? Anong klaseng number ang integer?
Whole number po.
Whole number, correct. So, nakita nyo, pansin nyo, hindi yan decimal, no? Ang integer is a whole number, no? So, ibig sabihin, malaki pag sinabi nating long int. Ilan ba to? 1, 2, 3. So, ito ay milyon, 100,000, million, so 2 billion, no? So, ganun kahaba yung long int. Ito namang short int, 1,000. 32,000, no? So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no? Yung signed integer, pareho lang din nung short int. Ganun siya kahaba. Unsigned integer is 0, 2, 6, 5, 5, 3, 5, no? Ayan. Okay, so, yun lang, ginagamit mo siya as a modifier, no? I-modify mo lang siya. It alters the meaning of a base type data to yield a new type. Ayan. Yung unsigned, anyway, basta yun lang siya, no? Ginagamit siya sa type modifier. Pagka you would like this to output, no? This data, yun yung gagamitin nyo. Parang katulad nung nag-call ka ng program, kinol mo yung program sa system, no? Ganito rin lang, no? Pinalabas mo kung sino yung small integer, no? Dito sa ating variables. Variables. Dito mga variables. Kasi ito pre-configured na to no? Itong short int, ito na yung pre-configured range niya, no? Ayan. It's just, I don't know kung kailan to ginagamit, but hindi ako masyadong gumagamit nito. Siguro pag mayroon kang gustong mabuo na computation at gusto mo lang ilabas lahat ng range, no? So, gagamitin mo si short int, tapos tatawagin mo si small integer. Ayan. Yun po. Now, naalala ko may nagtanong, Ma'am, paano po ginagamit si return? Ayan, o diba? Naalala nyo ba kung sino yung nagtanong ng return last class? Sa inyo yun, diba? O sa isang class ko yun?
Opo, ako po yung nagtanong.
Ayan. Okay. So, ito si return para mas lalo nating maintindihan, no? Okay. Return, the keyword terminates the function and returns the value. Okay. So, sabi dito, yung return na keyword, tine-terminate niya yung function, no? Para siyang break, no? Bine-break niya, tapos naglalabas siya ng output, no? Katulad nito, int function, naka-enclose doon sa parenthesis, and then int b is equal to 5. Return b. So, tinawag niya si b. Okay? So, ano magiging output niya, no? Sino magiging output niya? Si b, no? Okay, return b. Yun lang yun, no? Ngayon, pagka ang gusto lang niyang ma-terminate si function, kung gusto niyang ma-terminate si function, dapat ang lalabas, ang i-return niya palagi is b. Ayun. So, the function returns 5 at the calling of the function. Okay. So, yan yung ano niya, no? Pag kinall niya na yung function at nag-return ng 5, the calling function magre-return si b. Ayan. So, ano yung base niya? Ano yung output niya? Ang output niya is ano sa tingin nyo? Ito yung isang issue natin eh. Yung ating, ano nga yun? Yung 2 plus 2. 12, tama no? 12 at saka 3. Naalala niyo yun? Triple. Triple siya.
Opo.
Ay, yung ano natin, no? So, ito yung magiging output nito is B, no? Sorry. B. Yan yung output niya, B. Okay. Hindi lang siya naglagay ng output dito. Bakit kaya hindi naglabay? Dapat meron ditong output eh. Anyway, so yun yun. So, this function, okay, itong function na to returns 5 to the calling function. Ayan. Okay, sandali lang. Tapos na yung aking seminar. Pwede na kayang umalis? Okay. Ayan. So, yun po yung return. Ibabalik niya lang yung terminate niya na function. Okay? It terminates the function and returns the value. Sorry. So yung function niya na 5, ito terminate niya and returns the value. So, anong value niya? V. Okay. Yan lang. Ganun lang kasimple. Okay. Next. Size of. Size of keyword evaluates the size of data, a variable or a constant, no? Katulad nito. Yung ating size of, ito, nandun na siya sa loob. Nasa loob siya ng gustong i-output, no? Okay, so keyword evaluates the size of data, no? So dito, alin ang kanilang ine-evaluate, no? Ang ine-evaluate niya ay yung bytes. So, yung bytes daw, ano yung gusto niyang palabasin? Character. Char. Ayan. So, yung isang char, 1 byte ang output. Yun. Okay. Yan. In-evaluate niya lang yung size nung nandun siya sa loob. Nasa loob siya, no? The size of a data, a variable, or a constant. So, ina-evaluate niya yan. Di ko alam kung kailan pwede siyang magamit, but if you would like to evaluate a size of a data, for example, between ang application nito siguro pag if you are evaluating a table between, say for example, 2 tables, no? The other one is the price, the other one is the total. Yun, pwedeng ganun yung nyo, no? Ito kasi yung ginamit niya yung bytes, no? Okay. Yung char is equal to 1 byte. Ayun. Yan. So, yan yung size of. Then, you have register. A register is a keyword that creates register variable which are much faster than the normal variable. Ayan. So, kung gusto mo raw ng mabilis ang ang pag-call dun sa variable, gamitin mo si register. Kasi si register, ang niyan, ang calling niyan is mismong sa system. Yan. Yan. So, kaya yung iba, kung gusto mo ng mas mabilis, yan, gamitin mo si register. Hindi ko lang alam kung pwedeng lagi mo siyang tinatawag. But anyway, ayan yun. Okay. Then you have static. Static, anong pagkakaintindi natin ng static class? So, naririnig natin yun. Technical term yun. Static tapos dynamic. Anong pinagkaiba ng dalawa?
Hindi po nagbabago yung static.
Pag sinabi nating dynamic, nagbabago siya, no? Very dynamic.
Opo.
Pag sinabi nating static, no, 'di ba? Kaya nga pagka yung ating ano ba, lagi ka na nakatutok sa computer tapos ginagalaw mo yung yung PC mo na static ka, 'di ba? Kasi constant 'yon, no? Hindi nababago. Yan. Yun yung ibig sabihin yun. Tama si Sino ba yung sumagot? Salamat. Ayan. So, it creates a static variable. The static variable persists until the end of the program. Para siyang constant, no? So, nagpe-persist siya throughout until the end of the program, no? So, probably you could either use static or constant. Pero, again, depende pa rin kung paano mo i-interpret yung iyong program, kung kailan mo siya gustong gamitin. But this is our definition on how we use static, no? It creates a static variable. The value of the static variable persist until the end of the program. Para din siyang constant. Okay. And then you have struct. Okay. Struct, the keyword is used for declaring structure, no? A structure can hold variables of different types under a single name. So, para siyang object. Kinol mo yung buong variables into one, no? So, kung gusto mong tawagin siya into one, you call it struct. Ayan. So, in-enclose mo siya, no? Ayan. Yun lang siya. So, yan yung example natin kung paano gagamitin, no? So, you have struct student, no? Yung student, ano laman? Yung object na na student, ang laman niya char, may character na name, may float na marks. Siguro kung ang float na marks mga 1.75 or 2 or 1, ganon, no? And then integer age kung ilang taon. Yan. So yan yung paggamit ng struct, no? Isang buo, isang object na yung tinatawag niya, no? Okay. And then you have type def. Okay? It's a keyword used to explicitly associate a type with an identifier. No? So, meron tayong example dito, type def, and then float. No? Okay. KG, bear, and then tiger. So, ito yung ina-associate nila na identifier, no? Doon sa type def. Okay, so, gumamit siya ng float. Kilogram. Yung kilogram, pwedeng may decimal. Oo, pwede, Pwede siya. Pwede siyang may point something. Okay. Anyway, I'm just thinking of the output. Okay, so yan yung type def, and then you have union. A union is used for grouping type variables under the single name. Ayan, para siyang structure, no? Okay. Pansin nyo, parang nagpapare-pareho sila mula dun sa condition pati dun sa static at saka constant. Pero iba-iba, no? Kasi iba-iba yung interpretation, no? Pero halos pareho lang yung function niya, no? It's a grouping, no? Union is a grouping type difference, the type of variables under a single name, no? Katulad nung structure, yung union, no? Ayan. Okay. Dami-dami. Sige, total pinag-uusapan na rin natin tong mga bakit sa tingin nyo, na-curious lang ako, or siguro na-curious din kayo, ma'am, ba't kaya ganun? Halos, iisa lang naman, bakit yung iba, halos pare-pareho yung function, pero parang may iba-ibang name. Ano sa tingin nyo ang dahilan? Ayan, siguro para mas maintindihan natin yung computer. Pag-isip tayo katulad ni computer. Ano kaya ang dahilan? Bakit kaya ganon? Sige nga. Ano kaya ang idea nyo? Gusto ko maging curious kayo.
Yung iba pong mga ibang mga code po, mas generalize po yung nila, yung functions po nila. Tapos yung iba naman, specific lang po sa mga scenarios po. Ganun, yung mga target.
Okay. So, I will get your explanation na specific. remember class, kung tayo lang ang kasi 'di ba, kaya tayo nagpo-program, kinakausap natin si computer na maintindihan tayo, correct? Kung tayo lang kasi, walang problema. Kaso meron tayong computer na very specific yung kanyang yung kanyang pwedeng gawin. So yung mga nag-code na before para maintindihan tayo dun sa ating coding program na ginawa dito sa C. Ito yung way niya, exactly, specific, kung paano mabubuo yung gusto mong mangyari. So, this is our way of, this is the way of the program or the computer to talk to and present what we wanted to create as a program, no? So, mas specific siya, tayo hindi, pero kasi tayo rin naman ang gagawa nun, no? So, marami siyang naiisip na pwedeng halos pare-pareho lang, pero actually, depende pa rin sa paano nyo gagamitin. Okay? Gets po? So, ano lang natin. So, isipin natin, kaya ganito, meron tayong mga specific na identifier or keywords na ginagamit kasi gantong mag-isip yung ating computer. So, ganto rin tayo mag-iisip kung paano natin ipoprogram yung ating gagawing program. Okay po? Okay po. Ayan. Okay, so, kasi kailangan marami tayong matapos. Okay, so, void. Void keyword meaning nothing or no value. Ayun, ganun lang kasimple, no? So, pag ginamit mo yung void, okay, nothing or no value yung palilitawin mo doon sa iyong program, no? Dito sa ating example, the test function cannot return a value because the return type is void, no? So, if you would like to use void, no, ang intindi mo dyan dapat, meaning nothing or no value will come out. Okay? So, ganun po yung gamit ng void. Ayan. And then you have volatile. Ayan, last na yung volatile. Yung volatile is a keyword used for creating volatile objects. No? A volatile object can be modified in a unspecified way by the hardware. Okay. So, dito, gumawa siya ng dalawang identifier. You have a constant and then you have volatile. Pero yung katabi niya, yun yung pina-functionan, no? Yung statement na to, nakapoint to doon sa variable na number, no? So, sino yung volatile? Si number, no? Okay. Since number is a constant, tinawag siyang constant doon sa harapan, no? The program cannot change it. However, hardware can change it since it is a volatile object. Ayan. So, pwede raw, kung meron kang gustong maging volatile na object kahit constant, pwede pa rin siyang ma-change. Ayun. Ayan. So, ganun yung logic ng ating computer, no? Medyo, if there are specific things that we wanted to do, this could be a very good reference to you to use, no? So, para magets mo kung ano yung gagamitin mo. Okay. So, yan po yung ating 32 variables na ANSI na pwede nating magamit sa pagpo-program ng C. Now, may question po kayo bago ko ilipat doon sa ating operators. Ayan. Para naka-ready na yung ating operator. Meron ba akong papapasukin? Wala. Okay. May question po kayo dun sa ating operators. Yun dun sa ating keywords and identifiers. Dun sa ANSI. Wala na po. I hope I have answered your issue on how to use return dun sa ating sa ating last time. Wala na po. Baka may nagko-comment sa Ay, may nag-comment. Okay. Welcome, ma'am. Salamat. Nasa GC na po siya. Okay. So, akala ko comment dun sa So, wala. Magmo-move na po tayo sa operator. Okay na po. Class, sagot naman kayo.
Yes po.
Okay.
Yes po, ma'am.
Sige, eto na yung exciting na operator, yung ating hurdle, no? Ayan, so makinig po tayo kay Kuya para maano ko ng konti sa aking salita. Okay, so let's listen.
Talking about operators. Operators are super important in computer programming, so pay attention, at least more than you paid attention in class. Because that's probably why you're looking this up right now. You didn't pay attention in class, right? I know you, don't lie. The easiest example of using operators is in an arithmetic expression, such as 5 plus 5. This plus sign is an example of an operator. Both of these are examples of operands. So, the things that the operators work on are called patients. Kidding, operands. See what I did there? Because operators, you know, like, shh. Never mind. So you're probably thinking, like, didn't we discuss math in C like a million years ago? Yes, but there's more to operators than just basic addition and subtraction, and even the assignment operator we talked about in the previous video. There is much more, and this video is going to introduce you to that, so as we discuss it in future videos, you have that organized structure. You can categorize things and have a nice organized understanding of C operators. It's also very important to understand that not all operators are used for math. Here's a perfect example, if you guys can even see that. This is the assignment operator, an equal sign. This isn't used for math. This is used to give a value to a variable. Well, there's operators for all kinds of things. When we get into math, there's only a couple operators. If we want to do some more complex stuff with math, for example, if we want to get the cosine of something, this is generally where functions would come in. Operators are usually more for the basic stuff, such as addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, and yeah, we'll get into all that later. I've mentioned it before, I am a firm believer that human brains like to categorize and group everything. So, there are groups or categories for the operators. The first are binary operators. I think I spelled this wrong. There you go. You can see that this has the term bi in it, and this refers to the number of operands. This is one of the 3 classifications, so I will write all 3 now. The first, which only has 1 operand, are called unary. The second are binary, and the third is ternary. So this is 1 operand, 2, and 3. Classifying the operators by the number of operands works great when you're first starting out. But there's actually another classification, I gotta make it even more confusing, right? And this is grouping them by function. Not function like computer science functions that you call, but function meaning what do they do? One example of a classification of this is arithmetic operators. Some of the other classifications of operators are logical operators, assignment operators, and relational operators. And there's some more, but these are the foundational ones. The reason I gave you these 2 groupings, first classifying by the number of operands, and then grouping them by their function or how they're used, the reason I do all that is because I can describe an operator when I'm first introducing it to you, and you can already figure out a lot about it. For example, if I say, we are going to learn a new binary arithmetic operator, you can already figure out that, hey, it's going to have 2 operands, and it's going to be used for arithmetic. So you don't really need to know much more than that except what to put in. So yeah guys, that is your introduction to operators. There's a lot of classifications here. Don't feel like you have to have it all memorized right now, but this is something you should familiarize yourself with. So when someone says, hey, it's a binary operator, you have an idea of what that means. You also need to know these groups, but don't feel like you have to know them right now, because we are going to go through all of these. So thanks guys, I'm excited for the upcoming videos because we are going to be learning a whole lot of cool stuff. So thanks, and I'll see you in the upcoming videos. If you want to support this channel, please click like and subscribe. Welcome back everyone, this is Caleb from Caleb the Video Maker 2, and in this video we are going to be talking about the arithmetic operators. And I know we've discussed these a little bit because we've worked with math in C, but I'm going to try to give you a little bit more information, kind of keep you learning things. So to begin, let's create a file. And I guess we'll just name this, I don't know, Arithmetic Operators. And in here, we'll just write the standard stuff. Now, the arithmetic operators. There are 4 main ones that you need to know. They're pretty easy, you probably already know them. They're plus, minus, divide, and multiply. These work exactly the same as in math class. They just might look a little bit different than what you're used to. Now this last character is called an asterisk, and you can find that by holding shift and pressing 8. So I like to call it capital 8, but I'm weird. Now let's assign some data to a variable using some arithmetic expressions. So let's get rid of this junk, and we'll give our variable some real creative name, x, and we'll assign the value 2 plus 3 times 4 divided by 3 minus 2. This huge complex thing here. Now this brings up the topic of order of operations. This is the mathy term to describe which one of these happens first. Well, there's actually a computer science-y term to describe the same thing, and that is operator precedence. So operator precedence means the same thing as what operators happen first. Each operator, you could say, has a precedence over other operators. Alright, so let's try to figure out what's going to happen here. Multiplication and division happens first, and that's from left to right. So we start at the beginning and just start going right. The first time we see a multiplication or division sign is right here. So the first thing to happen is 3 times 4. This means that we could actually group these with parentheses, like this. You can add parentheses wherever you want as long as you remember to close any parentheses you open. Now, pretend that he evaluates to some value. It'll be 12. So what we have is 2 plus 12 divided by 3. That division happens next, so we can actually group that. Just like this. Addition and subtraction happens after that. So we start from the left and go to the right. 2 plus whatever this evaluates to. And then, once we group all of that, like this, we get that entire value and subtract 2 from it. You don't have to use the parentheses. That's because the operators have a precedence and the computer will work it out itself. But if you can visually see what's happening with parentheses, I recommend you use them. The output of this should be 4. That's because we take 3 times 4 and we get 12, and then we divide it by 3. So basically these 3's cancel. And we have 2 plus 4, which is 6, minus 2, which is 4. If you don't believe me, we can output this, just like this. And we'll save that. Let's compile this. Output of 4. Awesome. You can actually use parentheses in other ways. For example, if we want to create a precedence that is not going to happen by default, we could do that. So if we wanted to say, hey, let's do this subtraction first here. Well, we can do that. First, let's get rid of these parentheses because we don't really need them there. It's kind of clear, so I don't think they're that necessary in this situation.
Right.
So at the end, we can add our parentheses now. Alright, so now what's going to happen is any parentheses are going to be evaluated first. So we get 3 minus 2, which equals 1. Then you're going to have 2 plus 3 times 4. 3 times 4 is going to be evaluated as 12. 12 divided by 1 is 12. And then you add 2 to that. So your value should be 12. Let's check. 14, sorry. There we go. Now, whether you should use parentheses all of the time or not is up to you. If you look at this and you think it's pretty clear what's going to happen, then you're fine. But if you think this might confuse a coworker or another person looking at your code, go ahead and add parentheses here and just make it extra clear. Now, I'm going to introduce you to a new operator, which is always fun. So, this operator is called the Modulus Operator. And it looks like this. Int y equals 5% sign 2. Now you can use any numbers you want, and at first this is kind of confusing. I want you to look at this and I'm going to tell you that the value of y is going to be 1. And I want you to figure out why. I already told you why, but I want you to figure out the reason why is 1. Can you figure out what this operator does? Well, I'm actually going to be teaching that in the next video. So hopefully that suspense will keep you ready, waiting, and if you want to be notified of when I make new videos, be sure to click subscribe, and assuming YouTube isn't a butt, it will tell you when I create new videos. So thanks guys, and I will see you in the next one. Hey, what's up everyone?
Okay. So, madali lang yung arithmetic ha. Ginagawa na yan. Ano lang yan, plus minus multiplication at saka division, no? So, hindi masyadong mahirap. Yung susunod, ito na, no? Yung modulo.
It's Caleb from Caleb the Video Maker 2, and I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. If you've made it this far, you're probably either A, really enjoying it and learning a ton, or B, you're a total geek, and if that's the case, right on. Okay, I'll stop wasting your time. Let's get started. We are going to be discussing the Modulus Operator. Okay, so I told you that the result of this expression is going to be 1. But did you figure out why? Well, the Modulus Operator actually gives you the remainder, and this is for integers. So the best way to see this is to use a really good illustration. One of my faves. Imagine you have a pizza with 5 slices, and you want to share the pizza with your pet rat, Pepperjack. Well, you give a piece to Pepperjack, a piece to you, a piece to Pepperjack, and then another piece to you. Now, you have 1 left over. So let's change this code to illustrate our illustration a little bit clearer. We're going to say we have int pieces of pizza, and that's going to be 5. And then we'll have number of eaters, that's going to be 2. You know, you and your pet Pepperjack. Now we are going to have int leftover. And this also assumes you can't split a piece of pizza in half. That would just, you know, mess up all the dimensions and who knows what would happen. So what we need to do is take pizzas of pizza, take the modulus of that, and we'll put numbers of eaters. Oops, it should be number of eaters. And the real reason you can't split the piece of pizza in half is not because of some weird dimension junk. I was just kidding. The real reason is because it's an integer. And integers cannot be split in half or they are no longer integers. So imagine if you take the piece of pizza and you rip it in half, it just melts into this goop and it's no longer pizza anymore. Oh man, my illustrations are always really, really weird and awful sometimes. But that's okay, I like them. Whenever we are using the modulus operator, we have to be working with integers. If we were working with doubles, for example, well, there would never be a remainder. That's because if you took 5.0 and divided it by 2.0, the result is going to be 2.5, and the remainder is going to be 0. The modulus operator literally is useless when it comes to floating point numbers, so you can only use it with integers. Let's print out the leftovers and see just to make sure I'm not lying to you guys. We'll save this, compile, and run, and the output is 1. What are some other cool things we can use this modulus operator for? At first glance, it seems kind of weird, and when would we ever use this stupid thing? Well, there's actually one really good example, which, whether this is a good example or not is ultimately up to you, but you can use the modulus operator to figure out whether something is even or odd. For example, if you have a number such as 17, and you take the modulus of it with 2, the output will be 1. And this has to do with the definition of an odd number. An odd number is 2 times any number plus 1. Let me make these comments so they're not all colorful. Now you don't have to memorize the definition of an odd number, but you can think about it. The reason we have 1 left over is because we're dividing by 2. The opposite of multiplying is division. So if we take the modulus and there's a leftover of 1, we have this plus 1. This is in contrast to an even number, which is something like 2 times any number by itself, just like that. So if you take an even number, such as 18, use the modulus with 2, the result is going to be 0. So later when we talk about conditionals, you can check to see whether a number is odd or even using the modulus operator. And if I totally lost you with these comments, that's okay, just ignore me. So yeah guys, those are the arithmetic operators. These are all binary operators, meaning they work with 2 operands. See up here, we have the operator, and the operands are pieces of pizza and number of eaters. In the next video, we are going to learn a unary operator. So I'm really looking forward to that. Be sure to check it out and be sure to subscribe. Thank you. You know, time is so much more valuable than stuff. Like, think about it. If this laptop got stolen after I recorded all 100 of these, I think I'd rather pay for a new laptop and get my videos back than get a free laptop and remake the videos. You know what I mean? Oh, it's still recording. Welcome back, everyone. This video we are going to be talking about the Unary plus and the Unary minus operator. Now, before you close out of this video, just hold up, okay? These are different than the binary arithmetic operators we talked about in the previous video. Yes, there was a plus and minus in those operators, but these ones are not the same thing. So to illustrate this, we're going to create a new file. Alright, so to illustrate my point for this video, we are going to need two variables to start with, and then we're going to do some calculations with those variables. The data type for these are going to be integers. The first one is going to be int money, and we'll set that equal to 25. The next will be a bill, and we'll set that equal to 15. So a bill is just an expense. So after we pay the bill, we should have $10 left. You could just as well use double for your data types, but I'm going to be using int in this case just because I think working with ints is a little bit simpler. What we want to do though is calculate the total after we pay our bill. So we're going to make that int total, and we're going to set that equal to money minus bill. So this is essentially 25 minus 15, and that's going to equal 10. But what if we change this a little bit? You know, I like to mess with stuff. You know, I like to mess things up. And you know what? When I get bills, I go to the bill company and I'm like, yo, you're gonna pay me this money, right? So if I got a bill for 70 bucks, I basically just got paid 70 bucks. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, just follow along, right? I ain't paying no bill, so I am going to make this a negative bill. Now what we have is no longer 25 minus 15, we have 25 minus negative 15. Which, if you're any good at math, you should know that that is the same thing as 25 plus 15. I know, this is a pretty dumb example, but I can only think of so many examples, so you're just gonna have to deal with it. So let's print this just to make sure that everything is working as expected. And the output is 40, just like I like it. Ain't no one gonna give me no bills. Let's go back in our code, because I need to repent. I apologize. This is not really how I go in and pay my bills. In fact, I think it's an honorable act to pay your bills, because you are the one who has acquired the bill. But for illustration's sake, let's just go with this. One thing I need to make crystal clear to you, though, is that when you do this, you are not changing the bill. The bill itself stays the same. So what I mean is that if we go in here and we add another printf statement, you could put them together, but sometimes it's clearer just to have two. And what we want to print now is the bill. Let's print it. You can see that the value is still 15, not negative 15. What this shows us is that operators do not always change the value of the variable. Sometimes they do, but not in this case. Arithmetic operators don't change the value either. For example, if I did something like x plus y, after this addition is done, x and y still have the same exact value. As we get into some more advanced operators, there are some that do change the value of the variables. And once we get to those, that'll make a little bit more sense. All you need to know now is that these operators are changing the expression. So if we go back in our code, we are changing this expression right here. The value of the variables kind of just get plugged in. Like I said, the value of money is 25. We're subtracting negative bill. Bill itself is 15. So yeah guys, that is how you use the Unary minus operator. But what about the Unary plus operator? Well, it's kind of useless to begin with. I'm not really going to talk about it. It's kind of like in math, if you did something like 25 plus positive 15, the positive there is redundant. It's just assumed. It works the same way in C. There are some uses for the Unary plus operator, but they are beyond the scope of this series. If you want to learn more about them, I would encourage you to look them up specifically the Unary plus operator. That will help you expand your knowledge and understanding of C programming. So that's all I got for you in this video. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Hey guys, welcome back. It's Caleb from Caleb the Video Maker 2. Now, continuing from the last video, we are going to be talking about more operators. In the previous video, I mentioned how some operators change the value of the operands. That's what we are going to be showing in this video. And we are going to be talking about two of the most popular and most important operators in programming. So please pay attention. These are called the increment and decrement operators. So whenever you want to increment a value, you can actually use this operator. And incrementing a value actually just means to increase the value by 1. Decrement means to decrease the value by 1. So if we have a variable called pizzas to eat, and we'll set this to a reasonable number, the hard way to increment a value is to do this. Pizzas to eat equals pizzas to eat plus 1. And the way this works is it's going to take the value of pizzas to eat, 123, add 1 to it, and then assign the whole thing back to pizzas to eat. So you end up with 124 in the variable pizzas to eat. But there is a shorthand way to do this. All you have to do is say pizzas to eat plus plus. This is a shorthand way to do just this. This is very good if you just want to add 1 to a variable. This format is a little bit better if you want to add more than 1 to a variable. Let's say you wanted to add 5 to a variable. Up here it would be very easy because you could just say plus 5. But if you wanted to do it with the plus plus, you would literally have to put the statement 5 times.
Yung increment at saka decrement operators, naintindihan naman natin from the word itself. Increment, ano yon?
Increase ba?
Increase.
-1.
Okay, so yun yung in-explain niya na. But I'm just trying to verify kung nakikinig lang kayo, no? So increment, may dadagdag ka. Pag decrement, may babawasan ka. Okay? Depende kung ano yung value, no? Ayan. Sige, tuloy ko lang ha. Buti may nagre-respond. Okay.
Times. And you get the point. That would just be slow and cumbersome, and we don't want to do that. But whenever you just need to add 1, you're always going to want to use the plus plus, because that is a standard convention in programming. At first it takes a little bit to get used to this, but once you see it 1,000 times, you'll be able to read it as if it literally just says, add 1 to this variable. Now this operator, it is a unary operator, which means it only takes 1 operand. The operand is the variable. It doesn't need 2 variables, it only changes 1 variable. Now, I want to play some trivia. Let's play a little game, okay? Let's try to guess the output of some code. Let's get rid of this line here, and then we're going to print something. Well, what are we going to output? Well, we're actually going to make another variable, and we're going to call it output. And we're going to set it equal to pizzas to eat plus plus. And just to make this clear, let's get rid of this line too. And we will also set the value of pizzas to eat to 100. We just want this to be as simple as possible. So I want you to figure out what will happen when I print output like this. I recommend you give it a try. You got 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.5, 0. The answer is 100. It actually outputs out 100. Why 100? This is one of the trickiest parts to understand about the increment operator. When we do something like this, pizzas to eat plus plus, we are saying we want the plus plus to happen after the value of pizzas to eat is assigned to output. What that means is that pizzas to eat at this point down here equals 101, but it only outputs 100 because the increment didn't happen until after output got the value. To change this, we can actually put the plus plus before the variable. Now, let's run the code and I'll show you. You can see that output's 101. If we put the pluses at the end, you will see that the output is 100. Let's save it. Right there, 100. In addition to the increment operator, there is also a decrement operator, and that just looks like minus minus, and it works exactly the same way. And we need to update this comment. Don't you hate when comments are outdated? Alright, let's try this. The output is 100. That's because the decrement doesn't happen until after the assignment. So, let's print out pizzas to eat after this point. So, pizzas to eat. And also, I'm going to change the string here just so the variables don't get confused here. We're going to say this is output. We'll write that, and now let's run it. So output is 100, and pizzas to eat is 99. The decrement operator is literally the same thing as doing pizzas to eat equals pizzas to eat minus 1. Just like that. If this stuff is a little bit confusing to you, that's okay. This is one of those barriers you have to get past to become an efficient programmer. Don't worry about it, just watch this video a couple thousand times and click subscribe.
Nagets? Nagets po? Ayan ha?
Yes po.
Okay, okay. Sige, tuloy ko lang ha. Kasi marami tong operators na to eh. Okay.
Hindi po.
Do a ton of research on incrementing and decrementing. I promise you this is going to come up again, so don't neglect it. Thanks guys, and I will see you in the next video.
My job.
Welcome back everyone to Caleb the Video Maker 2. Hopefully you guys are quite enjoying this series. I am personally enjoying it quite a bit. So let's get started, okay? So the very first thing I want to do is I actually want to work with the file from the previous video. But I'm going to expand and start introducing some more operators. So if you type in ls, and assuming you've been following along this whole time, the file that we just worked on in the last video was increment decrement. I'm going to rename that to better explain what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to move that, and I'm going to move the increment decrement file, and I'm going to rename it to increment decrement assignment.c. You know, we just gotta make it longer and longer. And now when you list your files, you'll see that it is now appropriately named. So let's open that. In here you can see that we have a value. We're assigning that value to output, and then we're decrementing that value. Now if you remember, in the last video I mentioned this was kind of like doing this. You're taking the original value of pizzas to eat, subtracting 1 from it, and assigning it back into pizzas to eat. Well, the benefit of this line is that you can actually decrement by larger numbers. For example, I could subtract, 30. That's way better than having the decrement operator 30 times. This is actually going to come up a lot where you need to decrement by some certain value or increment by some certain value, but you don't want to have to type out the variable name twice and do all this crazy stuff. Anytime you type out something twice, you increase the chance of typos. So I'm going to be teaching you the shorthand in this video. So let's get rid of this line, and we'll also get rid of the output. So now all we have is the pizzas to eat. Now, in any reasonable situation, eating only 100 pizzas, that is totally not enough to fill the average American. So we need to increment that by 100. So the longhand way to do this would be pizzas to eat equals pizzas to eat plus 100. Oh man, I nearly died typing all that stuff. I do not want to have to type that again. So the easy way to do this is to actually say pizzas to eat plus equals 100. That is the same exact thing as this line right here. The thing is though, it takes only one variable name. It takes a little while to get used to this syntax, but once you get used to it, it makes a whole lot of sense. Basically what you're saying is that the new value of pizzas to eat, we're going to add 100 to it. That's all it really means. So let's get rid of this top line here, and let's print the value after we increment it by 100. And to do that, I'm just going to copy this value up here using YY and then P. Perfect. And now let's save it and run it. Boom. There you go. 100, 200. The technical term for this increment operator is called the plus equals operator. Totally didn't forget there for a minute. And it is not the only one of the fancy assignment operators. There's actually ones for other, you could say, other arithmetic operators combined with the assignment operator. So let's go over those now. Pizzas to eat minus equals, that will subtract the value a certain amount. Pizzas to eat multiplied equals, that will multiply the value by some value. So at this point, we add 100, then we subtract 100, and then multiply it by 2. So we should be at 200 if we've done everything right. Next, we have the division equals. So this one will actually divide the value by some number. So we can divide it by 4, and this will give us 50. Now the last one, this one's a little confusing, but once you figure it out, it's very powerful. We're using the modulus equals. So it's pizzas to eat, percent sign, equals, and then you can divide it by some number, such as 5. And this will give us the remainder, and the remainder is actually 0. These operators are great because once you are familiar with them, they more clearly express what you're trying to do. They also reduce the chance of errors, so there's just a whole lot of good things about them. Please try to familiarize yourself with them, and as a last thing, I'm just going to print the value just to make sure I didn't go wrong. Alright, let's run this and just make sure we didn't do anything crazy wrong. Okay, we have some errors. Oh, I just forgot a semicolon. So at the end of this, we need to add a semicolon, save that. Got those fixed. Now let's try this. And there you go, the final output is 0. So thanks guys for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please click like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Question?
Hey guys, what's up?
Yes.
Welcome back to Caleb the Video Maker 2.
Okay,
I just got back from eating some tacos, so I am ready to go. And now my dog is eating his dinner, so if you hear him, don't let it bother you. This video I am going to be talking about operator precedence. So I've mentioned before that some operators have a precedence over others. For example, multiplication and division have precedence over addition and subtraction. But how do you know? Well, here is a chart that I would recommend, and this also goes to show how slow my internet is. Oh, this is absurd. Alright, so this is the page. You can see that everything is kind of grouped into sections. So these are numbered. These have the highest priority or the highest precedence. These have the second highest precedence, and so forth. Things within a group like this, these have the same precedence. So how do you know which one happens first? Well, that is called the associativity, and it says which direction they are evaluated. So for example, if you scroll down here, you can find, where'd it go? Here it is, the addition and subtraction operators. These are evaluated left to right. So you start at the left and go to the right, and you just evaluate them as you see them. Some of them are actually evaluated right to left, and we'll see some of that soon. So if you want to know what has precedence over what, you go in here and you find the operator. So let's say we are looking for the unary plus and the unary minus. You can see that that has a higher precedence than addition and subtraction. So if you're adding something that has a unary minus with it, it's going to be negated first, which means to take the negative of, and then it's going to be added. And if you have an expression that has both a positive and a negative, then it's whichever one comes first from the right to the left is going to happen. So let's see some of this in practice. Let's say we have two integers, x and y, and you can declare two integers just like that. We can also assign values on one line, just like that. Now, these are actually assignment operators. So which one happens first? They're on the same line, so we need to know the associativity. So if we look back at that chart we had, the assignment operator is right here. And obviously, if you have two assignment operators, they are going to have equal precedence. But then we have to look at the associativity, and it's right to left. So that means our expression gets evaluated like this. First, the right side, and then, once that is done, then the left side. Now, obviously, the result is going to be the same either way. But you could think of this as y equals 5, and then x equals y. I'll leave those here as a comment for you guys to see. Now, let's look at a situation where the precedence and the associativity makes a difference. When we have a situation like this, where we have int z, and let's just say y is equal to 2, and x equals negative y plus z. This is that situation I was talking about earlier. And just in case it's driving you crazy, I will minimize this. There we go. If you didn't have that chart, there's essentially two ways this could be evaluated. The first way would be x equals, and then the plus operator happens, so we have y plus z, and then that whole thing is negated, just like this. Or we could have this, where x equals negative y plus z. We'll probably want to give a value to z, obviously, because we can't use it until it's initialized. Let's say the value is 20. This would make the end results be either x equals negative 22 or x equals 18, depending on which one happens. According to our chart, the negation actually happens first, as we mentioned. So the second one is actually how it works. And just to see that this is true, we can print the value of x, like so, and then we could save it. And we'll run this sucker. If I can type it out. And the value is 18. And is that what we expected? Let's go back in our code and find out. Yep, that is so. So what I'm trying to teach you from this video is not that you need to memorize this entire chart. What I'm trying to teach you is that there is a systematic way as to figure out how expressions are going to be evaluated. And as always, if you're unsure of how it's going to work, always use parentheses. You can throw parentheses in here yourself to force certain precedence. So this will automatically make the inside happen first. So thanks guys for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video and this series. If you have any comments, please leave them below. And if not, just click like and subscribe. Thanks, and I will see you in the next video. Hey, what's up everyone? It's Caleb from Caleb the Video Maker 2. This video is going to be talking about strongly typed and loosely typed programming language.
Okay. Right. So, question, class? You still there?
Hello?
Yes.
Po.
May question kayo dun sa ating mga operators?
Wala naman
Wala
po.
na. Maliwanag na ba yung ating operators?
Need na lang po i-familiarize po siguro.
Okay. So, hahanapin ko lang yung ano nga yun? Sinabi niya,
Precedence po.
precedence. Operator precedence. Teka. Isi-send ko sa link, no? Makikita ko ba yun? Ang liit kasi. Teka nga. Meron siyang ipinakita ng link eh. Baka pwedeng gamitin ko na lang yun. Operators. Ayun. Ayan. Ayan. Kaya sigurong image. Download na lang natin, no? Ito. Aha. Oh, mas maganda. Anong size? Over IQ. Maliit lang ata ito. Okay. Pwede na to. Teka. I-send ko yung link. Ayan, copy. Ayan. Tapos meron din ditong mga operators. C programming. Data types. Ayan. Sakto. Okay. Set natin. Ay, mali. Ito pala. Tama ba? BS 1 to N kayo, diba? Class.
Yes po.
Okay. Ayan. Ayan po yung atin. Sinend ko na sa link. Okay. So, alright. So, balikan natin yung ating ito. Okay. So, nagawa na natin tong ating basic declaration. Doon tayo nagka-issue sa basic algorithm. Doon sa ating magko-compare ng two values. Okay. Okay. So, practice tayo ha. Yung ating diniscuss variable type. Ayan. Yung ating variable. Hopefully, kaya na natin, no? Ayan. Dito tayo nagkaroon ng hold up eh. Hold up. Ayan. Meron tayong diyan na lang natitira. Teka, ganong oras ba tayo? Saan yung ating timer? Sino nga yung naka-assign sa timer? Tayo ay hanggang alas 6. So, meron pa tayong 15 minutes. Kaya nyo ba? Kaya nyo bang mag-solve ng isa? Para lang meron tayong application sa variable. Check output. Sagot po tayo doon sa akin tanong. Makakatapos ba kayo ng isa? Kahit isa lang para meron tayong application doon sa ating diniscuss. Okay. So, siguro mag-sample tayo. Okay, sample na lang tayo, no? So, dito sa ating saan tayo natapos? Ito yung ginawa natin last time, di ba? Yung write a C program. Go to editor. Okay. So, sample na natin yung isa, no? Yung number 2. Write a C program to convert a string to an unsigned long integer. So, kanina, pinag-usapan na natin yung long integer, no? Pag kino-call natin sila, no? So, ito yung output. Sabi niya, write a C program. Teka lang, nakikita niyo ba yung sinasabi ko?
Yes po.
Yes po.
Okay. Baka ako, mali na naman yung ano ko, yung interface ko. Ayan, so, samplean lang natin tong isang 2. Okay? So, since 15 minutes na lang, para meron tayong practice, no? Okay, hindi ko na kayo pag-writing ng program. Next session na lang natin, no? Kasi next session, pwede na tayo magbalik dun sa ating targeted na discussion dun sa ating Turbo C. Okay, so bago ko gawin to, clear na ba yun sa ating operators?
Clear naman po.
Okay,
Ayos
clear.
naman po, ma'am.
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. Now, kung may issue kayo doon, pwede nating, sige, isi-send ko yung link ni Kuya. Ayan. Copy. Balikan nyo lang, no? Reviewin nyo lang. Again, practice makes it class?
Perfect.
Perfect. Ayan.
Perfect.
Okay. So, kailangan nating mag-training, no? Practice. Kaya laging meron tayong dapat application ng ating inaral ngayong araw na to. Kasi kailangan natin practicing yan, no? Ayan. Para ma-establish na yung logic natin, no? Kaya ako, ina-identify ko rin kung anong problema. Para makasabay tayong lahat. Sabay-sabay tayo, no? Sabay-sabay tayong matututo, no? Yun yung importante sa akin. Para ma-establish yung logic. Para pag nagawa tayo ng program, hindi tayo mahihirapan, no? Okay, so ito yung ating, so na-confirm ko na okay na yung operators. So makakagawa na kayo ng mga test natin, test subject natin pagpasok ng mga operator na problems. Okay. So this is a wait. Taas ka. So this is a problem, an exercise under variable, which is yung ating mga diniscuss earlier, no? Okay, so yung C, kasi nagawa na natin yung 1 previously. Tama ba? Nagawa na ba natin? Oo, nagawa na natin. Tapos biglang nawala yung kuryente. Ayan. So, yung nire-require nitong number 2, write a C program to convert a string to an unsigned, no? Naalala niyo yung ating unsigned, no? Identifier, long integer. Ayan. So, ito raw yung test data and expected output, no? Input an unsigned number 25, an output of 25. So, tingnan natin yung solution, no? Para maintindihan natin yung ating output. Ayan. Okay. Okay. So, ito yung ating requirement. Again, write a C program, convert a string to an unsigned long integer. Now, first question, anong intindi nyo ng string?
Collection po ng mga words po, ma'am. Parang phrase.
Ayan. So, ayan, maliwanag yan ha. Okay? So, i-convert mo raw yung collection, no? Ng, ano ba yung collection na ano nito? Ayan. Itong collection na to, no? And convert a string to an unsigned long integer. So, ito, i-convert mo sa unsigned integer. Teka lang. Sandali. Okay. So, you have here the code, no? Of course, standard na to, yung ating stdio and then std, yung library kung saan naandun yung ating tinatawag, no? So, int and then main, no? Kasi integer, no? Yung ating unsigned, no? And then char, okay? Ito yung string natin, buffer 1, 2, 3. Kita nyo naman, no? Okay, unsigned long UL. Okay, tinawag niya si unsigned long na UL. Aray naku! Oh! No? Printf. Okay, so yan yung ating kinol, yung input ng unsigned number. Kutulog ko. Fgets. Okay, fgets. Buffer, tinawag si buffer 1, 2, 3 at saka si stdin. Teka lang! Okay. UL, tinawag si UL equals yung unsigned long. Okay. STROUL. Bastos ko talaga. Masakit. Kagat ka ng kagat. Diyan ka. Okay. And then buffer, null, and 0. Okay. Ano output? Okay. And then print output. Malaglag ko dyan. Return 0. Okay. So, yan po yung ating sample code. Ito po yung output niya, no? So, nag-input siya ng unsigned number na 25. Okay. Ang output ay 25. Okay. So, yan po yung ating sample, no? You convert the string, yung string natin, nakita nyo naman yung collection ng ano, buffer 1, 2, 3, and then buffer 1, 2, 3, inassign siya. Okay, so ayan. So, nag-output siya ng, okay, ayan, input as an unsigned, ayun, number 25. Okay. So, yun po yung ating sample. Another sample, no? So, yun po yung exercise natin. At, nako, 8 minutes na lang. Okay. Para bun sa ating variable. C variable solution. Ayan. So, class, na-send ko ba sa inyo yung link na to? No?
Yes po, na-send po yun.
Okay, so, pwede nyo sigurong reviewin, no? Para makita natin yung mga, okay, yung output, kung paano ginawa yung, ano natin, yung mga solution dito, no? Para ma-review nyo, no? Anyway, so next meeting, tuloy na tayo ulit dun sa ating discussion dito sa Turbo C Programming. Unless, magkaroon tayo ulit ng issue kung ano man yung lilitaw dun sa magiging issue ninyo. Na-address na natin yung ating operators at saka yung mga keywords na ginagamit, kung kailan siya gagamitin. Storbo ka talaga. Alam mo, may ginagawa ko dito. Diyan ka lang. Oh. Pasensya na. Nagka-closing ako. Ikaw talaga. Tingnan mo, nakikikahol pa siya, no? Ba't ka? Ba't ka? Oh. Pasensya na po kayo dun sa aking makulit na co-teacher ko dito. Kaya minsan kailangan natin ng panggulo na yan, ano? Para pag nalilito tayo, alam na natin na may nanggugulo. Wala lang. Okay. So, I hope, well, alam nyo naman, si Miss Pain, tinitweak niya yung ating discussion para sure tayo dun sa naiintindihan natin yung ating gagawin, no? Kasi gusto ko magkaroon kayo ng maayos na learning process, no? Ayan. Okay. So, unless magkaroon man tayo ng issue, ano, we'll try to address it. So, we'll go back to regular programming doon sa ating discussion ng Turbo C next meeting. So, yun lamang po, class. Meron pa po ba kayong tanong? Ayan, doon sa ating discussion. Baka meron tayong nakalimutan. Okay. So, ayan, binalik ko na yung ni-stop sharing ko na. Mag-comment lang po. Aray ko. Ikaw talaga.
Ma'am, time na po.
Ha? Yes?
Time na po.
Okay lang? Ayan. Meron pa po kayong comment or baka meron kayong gustong i-suggest na kailangan kong i-discuss na tingin nyo kailangan dun sa ating Nasaan na si ate? Si kuya. Ayan. 5 minutes to 6. Nag-remind na. Okay. So, yun po yung ating discussion. Na-cover ko naman yung gusto kong i-discuss. Yes, Dayan, meron ka bang question? Nagbe-video ka? Biglang ganun, no? Tinanggal yung video.
Napindot lang.
Napindot lang. Oh. Ako! Ikaw! Hinawa ka na kita kasi kanina pa nangungulit. Pasensya na kayo dito sa aking makulit na alaga. Kahit ba nangungulit yung alaga, kung naiintindihan nyo pa rin yung discussion natin, baka naman natutuliro na kayo dyan. Class, may naiintindihan ba kayo o mas lalong sumabog yung mga utak nyo sa programming?
Meron naman po.
Meron naman, yung aking alaga dito nalilito na sa programming kaya kinakagat na ako. Ayan. Okay. So, kung wala na po tayong tanong, well, I guess, pwede nyo pang gamitin yung 4 minutes na natitira. Well, no, kailangan i-clarify na natin, baka may kailangan akong i-address. So, yung operators, alam na natin gamitin. Tapos, meron pa siyang precedence and association, no? So, may rules yon sa paggamit. Isinend ko na sa link yung pwede nyong magamit, no? In case gagawin nyo, ganun yung program, no? Sige, tatahimik muna ako para malaman ko kung merong magko-comment sa inyo. Jalaine, baka may question ka pa.
Wala naman na po.
Okay na. Naliwanagan na dun sa paggamit ng return. Ayan.
Apo.
Ma'am, tanong ko lang po.
Yes.
Yung sa, yung sa output po.
Yes.
Di ba yung %D? Paano po nababago yun? Kasi kanina po sa solution, naging %LU yung sa pinakita niyo pong sample.
Saan? Aling sample? Yung recently?
Opo, yung recent.
Opo, ma'am.
Okay, teka.
Paano po nababago yun? Parang yun lang po yung tanong.
Ito. Ito ba? Ay, hindi ako nakashare. Oo. Ako nang no? Ito ba? Ito, tapos wala nung pala ako sinashare. Sensya naman. Ano naman sa Miss Pain Dapat sasabihan nyo kung nakikita nyo. Yan, pareho tayong tinitingnan. Tama ba ito? Ayan.
Yan po.
Ayan. Okay. Bakit L?
Apo, hindi po yung sa printf po sa baba, yung bago
Output.
mag-return.
Oo.
Paano po nababago yung sa %d, %n, nagiging ganun po kasi yung...
Okay. Kasi dito, ang tinatawag ay sino. Kaya LU, UL. Sino?
Okay po.
Ayan. Si ano yan? Kasi si unsigned long ang tinatawag niya. Kaya nabago siya. %L. No? Yun.
Okay po.
Okay. So, depende
Salamat
kung
po.
anong gusto mong i-output. Diba? Yung ating %, pagdating sa arithmetic, teka, ilabas ko yung picture. So, pagdating sa % ng arithmetic operator, remainder ang ano niya. Teka, mali yung aking explanation. Assignment operator ata ang bagsak nun. Teka. Dali. Kulit ka nga dyan. Kulit mo. Okay, so dito, anong hinihingi niya ay unsigned, ano nga? Ando sa taas. Unsigned long integer, ano? Convert string. Kung nagko-convert siya. So, pag convert, anong tawag doon? Tinatawag mo lang siya, ano? Kino-convert mo yung, ano, yung text mo dito, yung string, into unsigned long na integer, no? Ayan. So, 25. So, anong tawag mo doon? %. Basta yung %, siya yung nag-output kung ano yung pinapa-output niya dito, which is yung ngang string. So, pagka string siguro, ang gamit mo ay LU. Okay. Gandang tanong yan, ha? Teka, hahanapin ko muna yung tanong kailan ginagamit yung LU, ha? Sandali lang. Naalala ko yun eh. Meron niyang sige, hindi ko pa masasagot yan sa'yo pero hahanapin ko yung link para alam nyo kung kailan gagamitin yung ano, no?
Sige po, ma'am.
Pero ang tingin ko dito kasi unsigned long integer kaya ganon, no? Okay. Anyway, let me get the correct explanation to that para hindi ako baka magkamali yung sabihin ko. Nag-a-assume lang ako ngayon kasi nakita ko nandiyan na nakikita naman natin LU. Pero meron niyang listahan ng kung kailan mo gagamitin yung mga % na yan, kung ano yung i-output. Kasi output yan eh. No, once you see output, once you see the %, you are looking at output dun sa katabi niya. Basta naka-enclose dun sa parenthesis. Yun. Okay. So, sige, hanapin ko. Babalikan kita dyan, ha? Sino nga ito? Sorry. Hindi ko nakita yung ano.
Sige po.
Sino to?
Yodi po, Yodi.
Yodi. Okay. Yodi, ha? Balikan ko
Opo.
yan, no? Okay.
Sige po.
Sige. Anything else po? Ayaw ko.
Time na po.
Ha? Sorry. Time na. Oo nga naman. Ako naman.
Overtime.
Salamat. Overtime na naman tayo ng 2 minutes. Ayan. Okay. So, yun lang po. Teka lang ha. Sandali ha. Bago tayo maghiwa-hiwalay. Alam nyo naman ang requirement natin. Kailangan natin ng inyong mga picture, no? Para sa ating attendance. So, sige po. Ano na po yung ating mga video dyan. Pakibuksan na po. Ayan. At kukunan ko na po kayo ng print screen. Ayan. Jaren, Yodi. Mas gusto mo ba Yodi kaysa Isaiah? Ayan. Mark Joseph, Jalaine,
Yes po, ma'am.
Melody, Melvin, Jane, Gerald, Gabriel, yung dalawang Gabriel, Samuel, Rochelle, Joanne, Mariton, Sophia, o diba, roll call, Rose Ann, Nicole, ayan, si Christina, start na. O, dali. Kukunan ko na ng picture. Okay, Erica. Yodi, buksan mo na video mo. O, dali, ngingiti na silang lahat. Smile. Okay. Okay, one more. Or, Jalaine, hindi ka pa
Sira po,
naka-video
ma'am.
dyan.
Sira po yung sa...
Ha? Sira? Sinong sira?
Opo. Yung camera ko po.
kayo, di.
Bibili pa po. Opo.
Oo, bumili ka ng camera para makita natin kung gaano kakapogi.
Hindi po.
O, dali. O, one more. Print screen. Go. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay, salamat. Yan lang po. Okay, so pwede na tayo maghiwa-hiwalay kung wala nang tanong. May utang akong isang tanong kay EOD. Ayan. Sige, babalikan kita dyan. Okay, so mag-iingat po tayo. May bagong virus ha. Huwag masyadong naglalabas.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Opo, ma'am.
Thank you po.
Ingat din
Thank you po.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Bye po.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Salamat po.
O, sige.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ano ba yan? Okay, and that